What some consider to be the greatest Indiana team ever quickly went back to work to prepare for 1976, a season which would be remembered as one of the greatest in Big Ten basketball history. The depth of talent in the Big Ten Conference in the fall of 1975 was impressive, and two new head coaches would cut their teeth that season, Lou Henson at Illinois and Jim Dutcher at Minnesota. If any team had the talent to knock off the Hoosiers, it was the Maroon and Gold, led by their 6'11", 225-pound center from the Bahamas, Michael Thompson.
Michael was 6'11" and had the shooting touch and the grace that he had to do so many things. He was virtually unstoppable.
He was a very agile big player, Michael Thompson was, and an excellent all-around basketball player, even though he was big.
Had a tough time guarding Michael, but I used my speed and quickness, but he was a very good player in the post.
Joining Thompson on the Gopher squad were guards Flip Saunders and the super quick Ray Williams out of Mount Vernon, New York. In West Lafayette, sophomores Walter Jordan and Eugene Parker were poised to lead a bumper crop of Purdue recruits to the top of the Big Ten standings.
The 76 team was primarily freshmen, very good freshmen. Jerry Seasting was a great guard alongside Walter Jordan, and Wayne Walls had come in as freshmen and played there. It was a very young team that played quite well.
Bob Knight's Indiana Hoosiers began the season with a bullseye on their back. Picked to win the Big Ten, the Cream and Crimson were also ranked #1 in the country and the favorite to win the national title. At the beginning of the 1975-76 basketball season, the #1 ranked Indiana Hoosiers would find out exactly how talented they were when they played an exhibition game against the Soviet national team, the gold medalist in the 1972 Munich Olympics.
They were not just the defending champions, but they were also making a big deal about getting ready for the Olympics.
For Scott May, this wasn't just a chance to get in an exhibition game. This matchup was about showing the country he was completely healed from his broken arm and ready for action.
I got plays ran for me, or the offense ran for me, things like that. And then, I just took off after that.
May didn't disappoint. He was nearly perfect, going 13 of 15 from the field in a dominating 34-point performance. Indiana was already in midseason form, routing the Soviets 94-78.
That night, you could see this is one of the great teams ever.
Indiana would open up its regular season with a made-for-TV matchup in St. Louis against #2 ranked UCLA, the 1975 NCAA champions.
I think he called me and Buckner in right before school started and said, "Hey, we got a chance to play UCLA, first game of the year. You want to do it?" I said, "Coach, we don't want to duck anybody."
Indiana used its suffocating half-court defense to frustrate the Bruins. Scott May proved he was fully recovered from his injury, outdueling UCLA All-America Marcus Johnson en route to a 33-point performance. The real star that night was Indiana's defense, as the Hoosiers cruised to an impressive 84-64 win.
Well, it's a different cast. You still be defending Olympic team and the defending national championship your first two games and done handling.
I thought I was going to win every game. I'm not being, I just want to be honest. I thought we'd win every game. I didn't think we'd beat them that badly.
Following 3 consecutive regular season Big Ten championships, the Hoosiers entered Big Ten play knowing anything less than a 4th consecutive conference title would be a disappointment. The Hoosiers' title quest began with a matchup against the Ohio State Buckeyes, the 6th-place finisher in 1975.
In terms of teams, if you look in the Big Ten, you had to come play every night. And that's the challenge I like. But what I thought our team's approach was, you're going to have to prove it every possession.
But this Ohio State team couldn't be taken lightly. After every Indiana basket, the Buckeyes responded with one of their own. Nearing the end of the first half, the Buckeyes took a 28-27 lead on the Lawrence Bolden jumper. A 2-point Indiana lead at halftime triggered a quick second-half start from the Buckeyes, as senior center Craig Taylor took control of the game. The game was a toss-up until Indiana point guard Quinn Buckner drained a pivotal jumper to put the Hoosiers ahead for good.
He was the captain of every team he ever played on, from high school, where they won 2 state championships in Illinois, through IU for 4 years, to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he was the captain. Before that, in between there, he was the Olympic team had all kinds of great players. Quinn Buckner was the captain. He just was that kind of leader.
We'd always say with Quinn, he may miss a bunch of shots during the game, but when it came down to it, he'd make it.
Indiana survived, barely, topping the Buckeyes 66-64. After a win at Northwestern, Indiana took their #1 ranking to Ann Arbor to meet 8-2 Michigan, ranked 19th in the country. 16 straight points early in the game set the pace for the Hoosiers, who withstood a late Michigan run to win it 80-74. Meanwhile, the Indiana Hoosiers, 8-0 in conference play, took their undefeated record to Madison to face the struggling Wisconsin Badgers. The nation's #1 team lived up to its reputation, dominating the Badgers with a relentless offensive assault. Scott May led the Hoosiers with 30 points in the Cream and Crimson's 114-61 blowout. The rout also was Indiana's 28th straight Big Ten win, a new conference record. In early February, Michigan State came to Bloomington with upset on their minds, but behind Kent Benson's 38 points, the Hoosiers won easily, 85-70. Heading into their mid-February matchup with Purdue, the 21-0 Indiana Hoosiers were sailing along atop the Big Ten standings. A win over their in-state rival would put Coach Knight's squad one step closer to a 4th straight Big Ten title. The Hoosiers struggled early from the floor, and both Scott May and Quinn Buckner battled foul trouble, allowing Purdue to take a 27-16 lead. With the Hoosier stars on the bench, Hoosier defensive ace Bobby Wilkerson contributed 10 points to cut the Purdue halftime lead to 39-35. When May and Buckner came back on the floor in the second half, the Hoosiers began to rally. May scored 20 of his 25 points in the second half, 2 coming on the fast break feed from Bobby Wilkerson. May's second half performance vaulted the Hoosiers to a tough 74-71 victory, thanks largely to the tenacious defense and clutch scoring of Bobby Wilkerson.
I've seen a lot of players come through IU, football, basketball, but I think, in my opinion, he's the greatest athlete that's ever played at IU.
2 guys in the starting lineup, Bobby Wilkerson and Quinn Buckner, averaged under 10 points a game. They sacrificed what they may have liked to have done in scoring lots of points and being more of a higher profile, scorer, which everybody seems to like, to help our team become a better team.
The Indiana Hoosiers' unbeaten streak remained intact. 32 straight Big Ten victories, 52 regular season wins in a row, and a perfect 22-0 in the 1975-76 season. Minnesota would play the role of spoiler, though. Beating Michigan 81-79 in early March, Michigan's loss clinched the Big Ten title for Indiana. Benson and May lived up to their All-America billing and dominated in the post. Indiana 96, Ohio State 67. 27-0. The undefeated regular season was now complete. Indiana had an easy time with St. John's, pounding the Redmen by 20 points in the opening round.